So today, I would like to welcome to the Real In interview two supremely talented people, both involved with a very, very scary film called The Calling. Um, Pooja Kadam and Sayani Gupta. Welcome both to the Real In interview.
Thank you.
Hi,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much, Master.
Thank you for taking the time out to speak to me today. How are
Pleasure.
We
you?
uh,
How are you both doing?
we're good.
Sweat.
Doing
I actually saw the film. It's quite surreal to be doing this, and this is obviously our first interview, probably and hopefully first of many more.
many.
And to be doing this with Pooja, because Pooja and I have known each other and we've had such a long journey, and it's quite funny because her name on my phone is still saved as Vayu. Vayu being the character
Inside
of
Edge.
my brother in Inside
Oh
Edge.
yes,
And Pooja is one of the best people to run a set. She's a feisty warrior, okay? And from our first interaction, the first time we met each other up until now, it's been quite an interesting journey we've had.
yeah,
And
yeah. We've come a real long way.
yeah,
I want to come to that. But before we get to that, I actually want to take you both back even further.
right.
Back to your childhoods. So can you tell us a little bit about where you grew up? Did you come from an arts background? Did you come from a film background? And where did the interest in film actually come from? Pooja, if I can ask you first.
Sure. So my father was in the army, and my mother is a biochemist. So I have no relationship whatsoever with cinema or films. However, I loved watching films. And I've grew up, I grew up in all small towns all over India because my father would keep moving every 2 years.
Sure.
Uh, but when I was, in my 12th grade and I wanted to, kind of figure my specialization, I thought that, maybe advertising is something that I wanted to do because my parents were also, trying to figure what is it that, it is that interests me. And I was pretty certain, that I didn't want to do the regular engineering, doctorate, or whatever. I wanted to do something different. So I actually started off with specializing in advertising. And while I was doing that, I realized that maybe filmmaking is something that really interests me. I really like this medium of telling stories. And that's how it began. And I was, we made this documentary for our final year, and we had this director called Sudhir Mishra who had come on the panel to judge it, and he really liked it, and I kind of started working with him, and that's kind of how my journey began.
Wow. Wow. And Shawnee yourself?
No direct relation to films at all whatsoever. Didn't know anybody in the industry, not just Bombay industry, but anywhere in any part of the world. But my mother was from. I mean, I come from a very academic family. Again, Bengali, but also very musically, culturally inclined. Also
Of course.
Bengali. My mother worked for BSNL all her life, and my father was an artist. He was a musician, composer, lyricist, also a theatre actor. He was part of Bohurupi, which was the first theatre
Yeah.
group in India, Shobhu
Yeah.
Mitro. So, like, culture was a huge part of my growing up, and I feel very sort of, it's almost like a secret plan that my father had for me, but I think he had started training me really, really early.
Yeah.
So every day, I would say from recitation to elocution to diction to obviously, training in classical dance to every day doing music riyaz. So, it was something that I grew up, like it was all around me. And eventually I wanted to do National School of Drama, and I moved to Delhi, but I didn't end up doing it because I started doing theatre with, Habib Tanveer and MK Raina, who were teaching at NSD, and they in fact suggested that I didn't go to NSD, and I continued doing theatre. But anyway, long story short, I started working. Then I went to film school in FTI, which came as a huge shock to my mother because she was hoping I'd sort of crack the IS exam still or continue in the job, which was really well paying and all of that. But I went to film school, broke her heart. And she couldn't believe that, I was leaving a really well-paying job to go study films, like not a real doctorate, but do a master's in. And at this point, I hadn't really told her that I was specializing in acting.
Yeah.
And when she found out, that was another episode. But eventually, I feel now, like it's been 12 years this month that in Bombay. And I think now she's kind of come to terms with it and made peace with it. But is she ecstatic about it? I don't think so.
No, with your first release, Shani, what I've seen from IMDb, Wikipedia, but it was a film called secondmarriage.com.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
So there was a short, we used to do lots of short films in FTI, like Pooja said, when you're in film school. And so we'd done a film called Proposal, which was not a student's film, but, a bunch of students like got together and made it. And that was on YouTube, still is, I think. And I got a bunch of offers from people who had just seen that film. It's like a 20-minute short. Sure. And the director of secondmarriage.com, Gaurav Panjwani, happened to see that film. And then it was my first month in Bombay. And he said, I would like to play the protagonist of my film. And I was like, this guy's crazy, And then I read the script. I kind of really liked the script, and the premise, and I thought it was really progressive. But I also didn't like any of his earlier short films.
Yeah.
But I kind of did it anyway. I was fully sure that it'll never release. And I had never sort of played. Actually, in Delhi, I had done like a docu-fiction film called Asma, but I don't talk about it because it was like really out of the radar and things like that. And this was when I was in college. But, when you're in film school, you've only done, say, short films or, characters that sort of go over like 10 minutes to 20 minutes, but never like a 2.5 hour film. So I thought I'm going to get like rehearsal to sort of build a longer, kind of character and things like that. Like plainly and only because, I thought it's going to give me some practice. And they sort of, the money I asked for, they sort of said yes immediately. And later I was told that, like, what is wrong with you? How can you ask for so little as the lead of the film? And finally the film released.
Yeah.
Thankfully, no one saw it except for Deepak Dobriyal, who told me apparently, and he still tells me, and I love him as an actor, and he still tells me, "Are tune kya kaam kiya hai usme?" And I was like, "Please do not say these things in public." But yeah, it was fun. We shot it in Gurgaon, and I think it sort of got the ball rolling quite early, and quite. One has to be grateful for that.
And Pooja, for yourself, your IMDb, the first credit I can see is trainee AD on Tera Kya Hoga Johnny. Now that, if I'm not wrong, it's a film that didn't release in the end, did it?
That's right. It didn't release because it got leaked on YouTube, and hence there was no point in kind of releasing it.
Right. Okay. How was, with that being, well, firstly, how did you kind of get that opportunity to become, was that through Sudhir Mishra?
That's right.
Yeah.
So like I was telling you, Sudhir Mishra had visited our college, and, I kind of figured a way to reach out to him. And it's quite interesting because a lot of people say that my break into Bollywood was the quickest and the shortest in the history. Because, I had made a list of directors I kind of wanted to work with. And Sudhir Mishra was on number 3. It was topped by Meera Nair and Deepa Mehta. And then it was Sudhir Mishra. So the first student answered my call, and Sudhir sir answered my call. And I said, "Hi, I am Pooja, and I would, would love to assist you. And I'm just, fresh out of college, and we've met." So he's like, "Do one thing. Why don't you meet me at 3 p.m. At my office?" And I was so excited. I was like, "Great, I'll do that." And I hung up, and I realized I had no idea where his office was. And just because in the excitement, and I also didn't want to sound silly and ask him, "Could you please tell me where your office is?" And then I made a couple of calls, and I figured where his office was, and I went and met him. He was, I think, an hour and a half late for a meeting. But he met me, he asked me what I wanted to do, and I think he kind of saw my passion towards filmmaking. And he's like, great, why don't you start working with me from tomorrow? There's this film called Tera Kya Hoga Johnny, which I've already shot and we're in post-production for it. And I need someone to, assist me on it. And that's how I worked on Tera Kya Hoga Johnny.
But when the film got leaked and when it didn't release, how did that feel for you? I mean, was that really disheartening, or did you just sort of think on to the next project?
It was, because when you're new to the industry and you have absolutely no idea, what kind of happens, you obviously want your work, whatever contribution you have, to be out there for the audiences. It did a couple of rounds in the film festivals, etc. But you want to go out and tell people, please go watch my film and see my name up there. I kind of missed that. So it was disheartening, but I think it was a great experience and I absolutely love doing it. And the fact that I did post-production, there weren't many people between Sudhir sir and me. So I had this direct access to him and it was amazing.
Great. And I think it's fair to say for both of you, after your first releases, you basically just went from strength to strength. Pooja, yourself, you worked on ADs. You worked as an AD on projects like Tanu Weds Manu, Fukre, Dil Dharakne Do. And Sayani, you did obviously Margarita with a Straw, which is probably, maybe it's fair to say it's like your breakthrough role. And then there was roles in Parched, Fan, Bar Bar Dekho, Jolly LLB 2. Am I right in saying that you both actually met on what ended up being quite a big project, Inside Edge?
Yes.
Correct. So Inside Edge was the first Amazon original in India. Yeah. So we had all, made films, we had worked on films. However, we were all actually, including Shani, we were all new to the world of web series. We didn't know how they were made, how they were executed. The actors also, I think, prep-wise, it was difficult for them to, you have to kind of track your arc through such a, a long series. It's difficult. So I think it was our first project. It was quite challenging and we had a good time, and I think I found Sayani there.
We had a great time actually, and this was 2016. It was so different from the OTT world, and sort of the OTT being the biggest sort of entity and sort of umbrella under which everyone has sort of come, from the smallest to the biggest and everyone in between. But when we were doing Inside Edge, as Pooja said, it was a very nascent kind of, no one knew. I'm sure even the team in Amazon India, they were also figuring, they were literally like baby steps for everyone. So there was a lot of learning. There was a lot of real collaboration, from every department, not just, within the crew and cast, but also between the platform and everyone else who was, creating the show. And there was a lot of, what happens is, because there was so much innocence, we all came really close. So actually we are, even the Amazon guys who, been there for these many years, we became very, very close. And even the crew, we had a fantastic, director duo, creator Karan and Guru, who created Inside Edge, and Excel was shooting it. And, I had worked with Excel before on Baba Dekho, so they were, and then we met this beautiful ensemble cast, and then all the crew came together. So there was no demarcation of, okay, this is you and this is, we all became really good friends really quickly. We used to party a lot, spend a lot of time. I mean, I remember we would actually be working for like 13, 14 hours every day and shooting every day and still have the energy to come back to this side of town and party, and then, and like party till late and then go back to shoot next day. And we love spending time with each other, which is something that I honestly miss a lot. Because I think everyone's way more busy these days, which is a good thing. But I miss those times, and it feels like it's not really too far back in the past. But since 2016 to 2023, a lot of things have changed in everyone's lives. So we really had a beautiful time on Inside Edge. Like, we became solid friends, all of us.
When you were working on Inside Edge, with it being the first sort of Indian Amazon original, was there any apprehension about the project itself? Did you ever sort of think when you were shooting it, when you were making it, did you think, we don't know if this is going to work. We don't know if this is going to be received well. We don't know if there's actually the market for this sort of thing in India yet. Or was it just
It
let's
was
just
quite
make this,
a
put it out there, and you know?
correct. So, like I said, we were all doing this for the first time. We didn't know. I mean, now OTT has become such a big
Sure.
part of our lives. But earlier, we didn't know. We were all doing this as an experiment. Inside Edge was, just season 1. We never thought there would be a season 2, season 3 that would come.
Sure.
So it was all kind of trial and error, and no one expected it to be such a huge success. Which is why everything was, we, even the technical team, while we were executing it, we had no idea how we were going to kind of do this. And, because we were doing it for the first time, the resources were also kind of restricted. We didn't have the free hand that, we had in season 2 or season 3.
Sure.
Correct. But yeah, but it was special because it was the first time we were all doing this. And like Shiny said, that's probably what got us, on together. I remember, so Sanjay Kapoor was our DOP and I was the first series. So both of us were kind of sitting and discussing the schedule. And I was like, how are we going to do this? Because, I came from a world where I had, worked on Dil Dhadakne Do, which is the Zoya film. I'd worked on Rock On to Fukre.
Sure.
And in technical terms, we were not shooting more than 2.5 pages every day. And then when Inside Edge came and, when I had to make the schedule and we were told to cut our days, we had to shoot 5.5, 6 pages every day. So I was like, how are we going to do this? None of us are equipped to do it. So he put it really well. He said, we have these walls. All of us have to go and break our heads on it and keep at it till the wall is broken and then on to the next wall. And it was exactly like that, But what was nice was, everyone came together. I think the actors also, because the quantum of work for them as well every day was a lot more than what they had done earlier. It was exhausting for them as well. But I think everyone wanted to do this. And I think we all did a good job.
I think that's fair to say. Seeing as, like you say, what's gone on to season 2, 3, and there's been so many different web series now that have kind of spawned from the success of Inside Edge.
And honestly, I still meet people every time I'm traveling who are huge fans. So there's, that you have fan pools, right? Like people who follow your work, but they have a favorite. And there are so many people who are huge Inside Edge fans. Like literally, 3-4 days ago when I was in Calcutta, I was like literally at a restaurant, right outside. I was leaving, and this couple came up, and I've gone to in a really small island in Italy, Burano. This man comes and this couple comes and he's like huge Inside Edge fan. I in a really in a sports shop in Nepal, in Kathmandu. Like when I enter and the guy behind the counter is like, roll, and it's insane because a lot of people are still such huge fans, and they repeat watch, and in fact they actually were looking for an analyst in BCCI, like the real BCCI, and there was this poll on Twitter that sort of suggested Rohini Raghavan's name as the analyst, and there were random people coming up and saying, what should Kohli do,
you should go for it. Go for it as a side job.
The funny thing is I know nothing about cricket. I just happen to have a really good director.
Pooja's backing you up. Yeah, you know nothing about cricket. Pooja's backing you up there.
Yeah, so I'm a really... But what was funny in Inside Edge, what I remember was, because there were 2 directors and I was working with 2 directors for the first time, we would be doing one scene in, say, the 3rd floor of a hotel from episode 8. And literally after, in the middle of that scene, because I have, say, 15 minutes and cameras, I'm going to go down on the 2nd floor and shoot with another director for episode 2, and it was like a scrambled brain kind of scenario, and we were, there were times we were like, what are we doing even? Because as actors, you're like, forget emotional continuity, I have no idea where I am, what I'm doing, you're just like, like frantically going from one place to the other, shuttling exactly. But those scenes were the best scenes in the series, I felt, so somehow something worked. And I think when energies come together, things happen, and that's the only way one can make cinema, actually.
Sure. So from Inside Edge to The Calling, both of you, tell us a little bit about that journey. How did this come along?
So, I think we did The Calling in 2021. Inside Edge happened, me and Shiny would meet very, very often socially, but I mean, we hadn't done anything, professionally together. I wrote The Calling during the lockdown. We were all kind of trying to do things, figuring what to do, how do you do it. You wanted to do something, create something. So I wrote The Calling, and obviously because of the restrictions that we had, I knew that I couldn't have too many actors. I knew I couldn't be like moving, between locations. So I started writing this, and when the script was written, and now that you've seen the film, it's very important. Whoever that actor was had to be really good to kind of pull it off, because you don't see anyone else other than that one person. And I knew that it had to be Sayani. And I was in the middle of a project, and the lockdown was lifted. I went back to that project, and then again there was a second lockdown, and then we're taking a break. And I was like, okay, I think I need to do this. And I was just sitting, literally watching TV. I switched it off, and I'm like, okay, I need to make this film. And I messaged Shiny at 8:30 in the night saying, hey, are you free? I need to speak with you. And she called me in 5 minutes. She's like, hey, what's up? What is it? I told her, listen, I've written something and I want you to read it and see if it interests you. I would, really want to do this with you. And she said, cool, I'm going for my COVID vaccination shot tomorrow morning. But once I'm back, I will read it. And I was like, I was wondering whether she's going to like it. Is she going to do this? And I couldn't sleep all night. And I was waiting for her to kind of message me. And the next afternoon, I believe, she called me and she said, oh my God, I just put the script down and I'm really scared to look out of my window. And I'm like, okay, wow. She's like, I really like it, and let's do this. That's kind of how the journey of The Calling began.
And how did the idea come about? It's quite a unique idea. Because I don't want to give too much away, but it's very creepy without having too many supernatural elements, if that makes sense. So how did you come up with that idea?
Like I said, the limitations are what gave birth to this idea. I knew I had to do something in a closed space because, because of the COVID safety issues, I knew I couldn't really go all out. And I wanted to do it. And, when you've been an AD, you know that lesser the resources you need, the faster the project is going to be made. So I was just thinking, and I was like, what is it that, you can do with it? And probably that's how it came. And I was like, this person who's stuck in a place, how do you kind of, make something that's gripping, can, bring the audience to the edge? And that's probably how it kind of, I was like, just random thoughts, that were coming to my mind. And I penned this down and I was like, okay, maybe this is working. With all the limitations that I have, I know this is something that I can pull off. And that Shayani, is how this,
Sorry. And Shayani, what was it about the script that kind of made you want to do it straight away?
It's funny when you hear Pooja's, I'm listening to Pooja's perspective for the first time, right? And it's like, really special. But, if Pooja had done anything and does anything, I would be more than happy to be part of it. And not just because I love her and I trust in her ability. Not to sound pompous, but we have deep respect for, obviously, that's the only way you would end up working together, and you have to have sort of operate from a place of respect and trust, and that's there. But I also believe that when you spend time around people on a set, especially when they have, when there are people, running the set, you understand people's personalities, you understand, what this person may or may not be able to do. And it's very instinctive. It's not like you're sitting there and judging people. It's not that, but instinctively you take things. And from what from the time I have spent around her, I believe that she's somebody, if she puts her mind to something, there is nothing, no force in the world that can come in the way, nothing. And I know this, okay? And she's very unassuming in terms of what she can pull off. She had done this music video that I had seen, and I was like, what? Because, when you chat with her, she's like, yeah, what's happening, but she's so unassuming, like that. There's like insane talent in there, and but she never wears it. She never takes herself too seriously, which is actually so refreshing. So obviously when I read the script, I mean, short films have to have that punch. It's like a short story, right? It has to hit you. It either has to scare you or, sort of tickle you or make you laugh, or, it has to be a quick shot of vitamin boost, right? Like in whatever way.
Yeah.
And The Calling is such a one. It was so like it wasn't anything like I had read before, and it was very, very original. It was, and it's just, and I was like, this is an amazing idea, but it's also really well written, because you can come up with an idea of this one person in a house, but how you execute it, what she's saying. And then I actually saw the film yesterday, and this is going to sound weird because I generally never say this, and I mean, she knows that I'm too critical about everything that I do, but I loved it, and I couldn't fault it at all. Like, I was like, this is weird. Like, I've never liked anything I've done so much, and as a film, I'm saying, I'm talking about what I have done, but and to execute this very crisp idea, even more crisp.
Yeah.
Like razor sharp, every shot, the music, the sound design, the pauses, the magnification of each shot, how she's cut between shots. And so I was like, dude, I didn't think it would be this sharp. Okay. And I'm like, and I couldn't watch it alone, obviously, because we discussed this. I had to go to my friend's house to watch the film.
I know exactly what you're talking about, because I would like to talk about everything you've just talked about, but I did watch most of the film from behind a pillow. So
and playing here on her, iMac computer, and she was next to me, and there was one point in the film I'm watching myself, and I'm like, oh no, sorry, no, and I'm like, no, and my friend is like, what is wrong with you? Like, how can you look at yourself and be this scared? So, so I mean, that only goes to sort of say what she's done in the film. Like, if the only actor in the film is scared to see herself, apart from the fact that I'm also probably insanely stupid, but also you're insanely good at what you do.
I mean, with the film, Pooja, how did you? I mean, even as terms of short films go, it is a short film. It's 8 minutes long. And the one thing that surprised me about it was I kind of expected to almost settle into it a little bit, and then for whatever happens to start happening. Straight away, the film, it literally starts, and I think maybe after a minute or so, I was just reaching over for the nearest pillow to hide behind. So what made you make it so crisp? And did you kind of ever think about making it being a little bit more kind of indulgent, maybe with the shots, and making them a little bit longer?
Actually, now as an afterthought, once the film is done and I've showed it to a couple of people, I'm actually hoping to make like a full length feature out of it. But when I made the film, I knew I had to keep it really tight. I didn't want to drag it too much. And, in fact, I don't know if you'd agree with me, it's easier to make something that's long. to get the impact in like lesser time duration is difficult, and I kind of wanted to challenge myself with that, and I thought I kind of achieved it. But now I feel like maybe a full length feature would be nice. What do you think, Shayani?
I am there, sister. Just call me. But this time, I will make sure I do not. I mean, I was actually spooked. The problem is that it was also 2021. It was also like it was the first shoot I was doing outside my house. I think for the entire crew, it was the first shoot. A lot of people in the crew, it was their first thing. And Trupti Khamkar, who actually plays Preeti, and she's fantastic. And she was sweet enough, so kind and so generous as an actor. I feel she was there throughout the night to give me the cues, and so excited to do that. So it was very intimate. We were shooting it. That's actually Pooja's house. We were shooting it in there.
Okay.
And shout out to Bhuji, Pooja's husband, because he, like, between both of them, like, they had everything sort of really ready to go, and the planning is everything, right? And I think the entire crew sort of came together so efficiently, because it's literally one night, but it was just so fast. But I actually don't have a lot of recollection from that night. I forgot it most of it, because I was like, I don't know, I'm too stressed, So yeah, if it's a feature-length film, I may have to get into therapy more often. But
I think the viewers will as well. If the short is that creepy, I think if you've got a full-length film, I think it's you'll need warnings with it.
I mean,
but I want to congratulate Pooja to be able to sort of pump it all in, those 8 minutes, because it's the most difficult thing to do, actually. And I was watching, the friend I was watching it with is an editor, and the first thing she said is, it's exactly how much it needs to be. It's short and it's crisp, and it's really like an injection, there's no like even a second of extra. And also you have to understand it's just one actor. So the performers in the scene is obviously the actor, the other voice, and the sounds, and the lighting. So you can't, the more you extend it, it's going to lose out, the elasticity and sense, it has to be taught. And I think she's done an incredible job with her.
Sorry, Pooja, you were going to say something?
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's what, like Shayani said, the house was a character. She was a character. The sound design is a character. It was very important to kind of, and I think Shayani's done a fabulous job for being the only actor to pull off those 8.5 minutes. It's very easy to kind of break out of a scene, when you're watching something. But I believe that, once you start watching it, you're just glued onto what's happening because of her. She's just like held it together really, really well. And I knew it had to be Shayani. I knew that she could pull this off. So yeah.
Shayani, when you read the script and before kind of going into the shooting for this, did that fact worry you, that you didn't really have anybody to bounce off?
No, not at all. One has done like it's like doing a long monologue by yourself, or a soliloquy, or like when you're on stage alone for I've been on stage for like 12 minutes alone, 13 minutes alone, and that's more nerve-wracking, because there nobody is like, there's no second take, or there's no cut, or there's no, you're literally there. So I don't think that was, actually there are times I'd rather do the acting myself alone than have some co-actors that want to act. But but it's wonderful to, I mean, it's a different kind of thing, I love, and Pooja knows this, like it's beautiful to have scene partners and and create and be able to build. And that's, I think, one of the best things I like about the job that I do, about acting, is to be able to do the play with my co-actors, because that's the ultimate joy. And sometimes when you are that, in that jugalbandi, when it sort of comes together, it like magic happens. But it's also interesting to do something alone, and and it's so your scene partner at the time is time, because the pace is really important, so the only thing that sort of breaks down this film, which is 8.5 minutes long, is the tempo through the different, little chunks of the film. And that's really interesting to play with. How long do you pause for? How long do you extend this, sort of tension for? When do you break it? What is the pitch at which you break it? Those kind of things. And I'm not overthinking it, but I'm saying, like, since you asked me this question, that's how one would sort of try to do it. But when you have a director who knows exactly what she wants, and Pooja exactly knew what she was doing, exactly where her camera is going to be, exactly what the shot is going to be, where the camera is sitting, where you come from. It was all clear, and it's always a really, really fun thing to do when and so I knew I was in really good hands. So I was like, हाँ भाई करवा ले मुझसे कुछ भी करवाना है. My lines will do worse.
Now, the Calling, it's having a Halloween screening here in the UK. But what is next for the film? Where is it kind of going after this?
So I've sent it to a couple of film festivals. I'm doing the India round now. I've sent it to the Kerala Short Film Festival and the Goa Short Film Festival. So it's an official selection at both the places. In fact, the Goa Short Film Festival, we just got to know a couple of days back. And now I'm sending it to more festivals. It took really long to kind of finish the post of this film because, it was an independent project. It was funded by my husband and me. Mm-hmm. And, while you're doing that, you're also and I also wanted the best people to work on it, like the editor who edited our film is also the editor of Inside Edge, Mirzapur. He, I've worked with him in the past. So when you're trying to do
also the editor of secondmarriage.com.
It's a small world.
So Manan and I have had and yesterday when I saw Manan's name, I was like, I can't believe that we've come such a long way. Sorry. Yeah.
So, but I wanted Naveen to, Naveen Shetty to color, grade the film. Mm-hmm. So, which is what, kind of took a really long time. But now I think we're off to a good start. So, let's see what happens. And I'm going to explore a little more with this film, what else we can do. Like I said, I really would love to make a length feature with this. So let's see if there are any takers for it. We'll definitely do that.
I think there definitely will be. Final question now. What is next for both of you? For Pooja, is that your next thing now? Is that your next passion project to make The Calling into a feature?
Well, it is one of the projects. I'm writing something. I'm writing this really. It's a father-daughter story. So I'm working on that. And I have recently, in fact, I've made this, directed this 72-second piece on mental health.
Okay.
I wrote a poem and I got it recited by someone. We've musically produced it. And I'm currently working on the post for that. And 10th of October is the World Mental Health Day. Sure. So we plan to release it on that day. So that is something I'm working on.
Okay, great. We look forward to this. And Sayani, for yourself?
Believe it or not, I'm writing a short film myself.
Wow. This is a new facet that we haven't seen from you before.
Yeah, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, well, I've been wanting to direct forever. Since I went to film school. And I think I also I've been going for a funny phase where, you sort of don't find anything exciting enough to, so I've been waiting for the right projects and, but I've started sort of co-producing, creative producing. So I'm working on a bunch of things. So I think, it'll be an interesting time to sort of try and start doing other things that I've been wanting to do for so many years now.
But no details on that just yet.
No, too early.
You'll have to you'll have to come back then, and we'll have to speak about that when these products come to fruition.
Hopefully, when it's happened. Yeah, when it's happened, I'm definitely going to Pooja for help. But that's offline.
100%. 100%.
Pooja Kadam, Sayani Gupta, thank you so much for your time today. It's been really great speaking to you. Really great to find out about The Calling, and a personal word of warning from myself to anybody who watches The Calling. Take something to hide behind because it is a very, very creepy film.
Just watch it with a
Thank you
friend.
so much, Bhaskar.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for your time.
Thank you, Bhaskar.
Thank you.
Thank
See you,
you.
Bhaskar.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Pooja. Bye.
Bye.